Hey, good morning everybody, and I hope you're all enjoying this beautiful, incredible fall that we're having. At least in Maine, it is a really incredible and beautiful fall here, and that's exciting. You can definitely see the colors behind me. We're kind of peaking here for our fall season, and I'm so excited about that, and I'm so excited that Spirit just kind of woke me up this morning and said, this is the morning you're going to get out and go play your singing bowl by some waterfalls and just get out a little bit. I had really hoped to get up on a mountaintop and get you some really great views, but a few days ago I was actually injured again in my neck region, so I thought that intensive hikes probably weren't the best thing for me right now, so instead I chose this great little opportunity that has some great fall foliage, so you may see some leaves falling down on me or around me during the course of this video. But a couple of really big themes that we have right now in the codes going from this month into next month is a lot about rest and a lot about observation. And I know I've kind of talked about these pieces, but you know, in the bigger things, they're so important to our balance. They're so important to what is happening for us. And I think that they do deserve a lot of consideration, because this time of year, a lot of people have a hard time being in rest. They're so busy in the doing phase. They're so busy hustling and bustling and rushing around and thinking about what's got to be done with the kids and the holiday season and all of these different pieces. And it can make it challenging to stop. But what I've found along the way is there's so many pieces that it connects to, because rest is a building block to restoration. And restoration is directly connected with our abundance. It's directly connected to our ability to provide in the world, our ability to have enjoyment in the world. I find that there's so many different aspects to that, and I've talked about pauses, and I've talked about breaks and the value of that, but I want to kind of shift in some different directions. And one of the things that I talked about, well, that I haven't talked about a lot, has been independence. So I'm going to kind of connect some of these pieces into our independence, because I've noticed that a lot of people that I know anyways, I don't know about your life, have been struggling with breaking free from people who are manipulative, people who are abusive, people who are bullies. I'm hearing so much of these days, and those that follow my Facebook pages, you probably realize I've been making some posts in regards to that, in support to those people who are going through those experiences right now, because it definitely feels like it's a lot. It definitely feels like it's been a big thing for people to handle. And so in bringing some of these pieces together, and I bring this up because, especially coming to Maine and this whole journey that I've been on with the code journey, which, by the way, the new book is just about ready to come out. It's coming out this week, so I'm very, very excited. I'll be sharing more about that with you later on, and if you're on my email list, you'll probably see a notice on that. But anyways, a big part of the code journey, a big part of the travels with Orly, a big part of touring around the U.S. is about independence for me. And it's about finding that independence. It's about building the strength and the confidence and the balance to have that independence. And it's one of those things that I think in a lot of my life, it's probably gotten me in more trouble. It's my trouble space, because I've never really run with the crowd, and I've never really decided I needed to do something just because everybody else was doing it. And I think that that has been hard for some people, because they didn't like that they couldn't control me. They didn't like that I was kind of that wild card and the wildflower and the gypsy soul and, and the bohemian all kind of wrapped into one, that free spirit energy melded in there. But independence is so, so important, and I don't mean it just like as a country, but I mean it as an individual. And so in this individual space, in this aspect of developing it comes these pieces of rest and observation. And what happens with independence is, the reason it's so important is independence is the big stress reducer in our life. It is the big calm you down, give you ease, give you peace, and give you enjoyment in life. It is the peace that frees you from the worries and the mental anxieties, and frees you from a lot of those abusers and bullies and the people that are just not being very nice in your life, if you want to say that. So as you do this, it creates this amazing peace where you start to realize you really do have command over your life. And I know in this world it can be really easy to feel like you don't have a choice. It can be really easy to feel like you don't have any power. But it's not true. And that's part of what independence does. And this is why so many organizations and so many groups and political arenas and government rulers don't really support independence, because when you're independent, you can't be controlled by other people. You're not worried about what you're losing. You're keeping your focus on what's really important. And see, independence can never really be taken away from us. We can give it. We can give up our rights. We can give up our freedoms. And I see that happening too much on a global level as well, where we're just turning everything over for the sake of some material thing. And we really, really want to pay attention to that. But let's jump back a little bit and let's look at what rest is all about. So rest is really a journey into trusting ourselves so that we can create victories in the situations that have challenged us. It's pretty powerful. So when we look at this being a journey into self, into trusting ourselves, and certainly if we are going to develop independence in our life, then we are going to need to develop that ability to rest. Now, when we look at the code patterns of rest, what's very interesting is that it's about observation. It is about paying attention to these strong polarities in a way that you find out how to make them balance and work in your life. So when I say that, let's say you've got two people, they come from different views, different perspectives, different ways of doing things, right? You've got night and day, we've got sunrise, we've got sunset, we've got all of these different pieces. So night and day is actually a good example. Let's take that for a minute and then we'll translate it over. Night and day are two totally different things. One is light, one is dark. Not good or bad, just light and dark. The sunrise and the sunset are balancing points between that light and that dark. It is the blending of the light and the dark that creates the magnificence of colors. Just like in the fall here, it is this blending of the cold and the warm that brings out these radiant colors in the foliage, and that we get these beautiful springs and these beautiful fall times of year to enjoy. These are balancing points, so you can see that magnificent beauty lies where we balance. But if we're not willing to observe, if we're not willing to take the time to pay attention and see the polar opposites and see how we can use the benefits or the gifts of each one of them, then we're going to miss out on that beauty. Now, when we do this journey into self, we do unfold these ways of creating victories for ourselves. And what happens with rest, when we are in this observation, we create automatically restoration. And restoration in codes is our abundance piece. That's the piece where we get to really enjoy it. It's not just like, hey, I'm tired, I'm going to lay down, I'm going to get some sleep, and you don't really get to get out and enjoy anything. The restoration is the piece where you get out and enjoy. So it's not just all isolation necessarily. It is also about being around people, being in celebration, being in acknowledgement, being in gratitude, being in appreciation. So all of these different components to it. And then what we have is these pieces because they're tied in very closely, the rest and the observation, we start to look at observation. We say, well, why is observation so powerful? You know, I really have a hard time being patient enough to just observe things in my life. And I get that because, boy, for a long, long time, yay, hello, I was not patient at all. Ask anybody in my younger years. I don't think I was a very patient person. Even when I was calm, I was stirring it all up inside. But what we find here is they are connected. So it's rest is observation. When we look at observation, what we find is a piece of being able to make our own decisions. So you see how that journey to self, it assists us in being able to make our own decisions. When we take a stop, when we take a break, when we give ourselves that space to be on our own, we can see really clearly. And even though people sometimes they have a lot of really great intentions, it doesn't mean that those answers that they're giving us at that time are the ones for us. So we have to really filter through a lot of that. Make sure that we're making our own decisions in the process. And when we start to make our own decisions in things, when we start to open up and say, what is the responsible choice? And responsibility, again, it comes back around to balance. And when that comes back around to balance, what we really find is this aspect, and I'm trying to kind of piece it together here, is this aspect of learning. That's when we get the lesson. When we bring it into balance, that's when we get the lesson, and it opens the gateway for us to move forward. It is a connecting, it's a healing of what is distorted by understanding it. So you could see these powerful, powerful pieces. Now, that piece of observation, what it does is it builds our patience and it builds our confidence. Now, patience is the really powerful piece in this, because when you develop that patience, when you're willing to be still long enough to observe and to really get what is happening in a situation in your life, you are then taking command. So the more patience you develop, the greater the command you have over the direction everything goes. Now, that of course ties back into more responsibility because when we have command not only over ourselves but influence over the lives of others, we have to really be operating responsibly. We have to really be thinking about how our choices are going to cascade and affect other people. And we don't always like to have that power, but sometimes we're placed in that position. And we have to decide, okay, if it was just me, I can let this go, I can walk away from this, I can let... But when it starts getting to that point of you realize, if my inaction hurts another person, I have to endure the consequences for allowing that hurt to happen. No, we're not responsible for other people's choices, but if I know something's existing and I don't take action, not in observation, not in opposition, not in war or battle or that means or revenge, but as a means to assuring others don't endure the same hardships. If I turn a blind eye on that, now I'm responsible. Now I'm having to do it. And this is where some of the places we can get ourselves a little bit in trouble, right? Because we're thinking it's only about me. And on one hand it is, but on another hand we have to also think about what we're allowing to proceed on. And I know this is very big in some of the Judaic cultures and things like that, where they believe very strongly you have to stand up for what's right. You have to stand up for the truth in something. You have to stand up for what supports and nourishes God and the divine energy. So these are some really powerful pieces. Now, when we connect restoration, that abundance energy, with observation, responsibility, what we get is we unlock the door to immortal love. We unlock the door to happiness. And that is so amazing. It's as beautiful as the fall foliage here. And I know for myself, as well as others, that what seems so scary to do, the standing up can feel really scary at times, but it's when we face these fears that we open the greater doors. And keeping in mind that we need to consistently open up these aspects of independence. And when we keep independence as a core, as a piece that we are always making decisions by, what provides greater independence for myself and others? What provides greater patience for myself and others? What provides greater restoration? Now we start to unlock the heaven on earth energies. Now we start to unlock where the divine can exist in its fullest. Wow, I think I threw a lot of information at you today. So I'm going to let it rest right now at that point, and I am going to just enjoy this little piece of restoration that I have in this morning before I get back onto working on the code journey, which is the 2019 version, and very, very excited to be, like I said, releasing it here in the next couple of days, and I hope that you guys will check that out as well. So watch for the post on that, watch for the updates on that, and we're all going to get there and get out. Take a little rest and restoration and observe what is happening in this amazing turning of the seasons that's going on. Take care, everybody, and hey, if I start getting a little better with this neck thing, maybe I'll just cut an extra video. Maybe I'll at least get out and share some of the more fall foliage that we have going on. Take care. Bye-bye.